I'm searching for a better me, looking for a better you, trying to find a better us. Tell the truth, you want it too. Come on, man.
Good evening, good evening. My name is Gregory Singh, and I am a member of the New Black Leadership, and I want to welcome you to another segment of the New Black Leadership Coalition show right here live on IntellectualRadio.com. I am so thankful, I'm honored and blessed to say the least, to have another opportunity to come over these precious airwaves that we take very, very serious. And we hope that God will bless us to say what you need to hear tonight. I'm here live in the studio with my friend, my brother, an amazing, awesome black man that has stood up as long as I've known him. His name is by many the great T.O. Hardiman. Yes. And this brother is not just a man out here wondering. He is the creator of the Interrupters for Violence, executive director, etc. This brother has done a lot. I know he's running for office. We're going to talk about that, Brother T.O., and we're going to talk about a lot of things. But before we get started, I have a brief commentary.
That's right.
And I want to say this to you all that's listening, Facebook Live, or you listening via IntellectualRadio.com. I want to say this to you, all of you all, with your enthusiasm, with your motivation and your inspiration, and all of that you're putting into this election, this epic, historical election. I gotta say this to you all. I've read some of your posts, and some of you all, I love you. You're my friends. And if I lose your friendship from what I'm about to say, then you've never been a friend any doggone way. But I gotta say this, that as you, some hypocritically, you use so much energy and make it sound as though it's the end of the world, which based on whichever one of these individuals who are both horrible, based on facts. They both are horrible. And honestly, America would not be the same, neither with Miss Clinton or Mr. Trump. You vote for whoever you want to vote for. And yeah, go and vote. But don't criticize people and stop telling people that stupid stuff that people died for you to vote. They didn't die for you just to vote. They died for you to have the right to exercise intelligence. That's your shallowness. And I'm saying this to you because I read some of that, and you my friend, but you don't know what you think you know. And then where's your energy at with making a difference in our community? Why don't you talk like this and act like this to clean up our community? Where are you at when it comes to saving black lives? Where are you at when it comes to relationships? You don't get all motivated to save your relationship. You have rocks in your jaws when it comes to the black man, but you acting a damn fool to put one of these candidates in office, and then you give us hell. You should shut up. I mean, you get on my nerve with that. On the 9th and the 10th and the 11th and the 12th and the 13th and the 15th, you won't be nowhere to be found, nowhere in the community. And who really benefits and profit from this election? I want to follow it, and I want you to follow it. And don't tell me, well, the Senate is blocking it, or well, this or that. No, out of the gate, since you want to drag people to the polls and brag about how long the lines are, then tell me what you're going to do about the violence and the murders in our community. Tell me what you're going to do about that. See, don't get me started. Well, I'm already started. But you make me upset with you that you dare to put all of your eggs in one basket, and then you miss it in action. Soon as the election's over with, you miss it in action. I wish you had the same enthusiasm to go to the grocery store and stay out of the aisles and go to the produce section and start cooking, since you're so busy motivating. I mean, wow, man. And I'm just saying this because it's so sad. You so imbalanced. You so imbalanced. And you can call in and tell me your perspective. Don't be afraid. 708-223-8953. 708-223-8953. See, I'm a humanitarian, and I'm going to do what I need to do every day to make a difference in the lives of our community. And I'm going to tell you this. What you going to see, because I've seen the emerge of the poverty pimps. I see the poverty pimps. They right there waiting on a chicken dinner. They getting into the White House. And you know who the poverty pimps are. One of them got chased from Ferguson. Down in Ferguson. I'm just telling you, people are fed up. And I see some of you all bragging on the brother Chance. He taking a bunch of people down to vote. What about cleaning up your community? Have you taken that same group of people to do farming? See, you backwards. I mean, I'm pissed because you backwards.
Yes, indeed.
They need guidance. They so busy, and I love my black sisters. I love you. But some of you all out of order trying to make people guilt trip. You know, you making people guilt trip. That's why you don't have no relationships. You so busy worrying about everybody else. But where's your energy and your love for your community? None of you all talk when it comes to saving our community. But they want everybody to be one now. Tomorrow, nobody's saying anything. They wore Cubs hats a few days ago, took them off now. See, you just moment people when you should be dealing with the struggle that our people dealing with every day, gone day.
I'm with you on that, brother. Something I can tell you.
But anyway, we got Brother T. I'm sorry, Brother T, or excuse me for sounding so angry, but I just get sick and tired. And let me, people putting that guilt trip on folks about voting, and you put all your eggs in that basket, and you look at the economic system. Tell me who's going to deliver reparations. Tell me who's going to solve the unemployment. Tell me who's going to solve the crisis in our community. What policy, what agenda have you presented to Miss Hillary Clinton? And yeah, she gonna win. She is going to win. So relax, go to sleep. And you act like you can't sleep. Tomorrow you on pins and needles, but you ain't on pins and needles looking at the condition of our community. You are totally confused. Anyway, Teal. Yeah. What's up, brother?
Well, no, it's just good to be here on behalf of the show, the New Black Leadership Coalition. We definitely need some new black leadership.
Oh, my God.
And I appreciate Minister Michael Muhammad and yourself, Brother Gregory. You know that. We've been working together for years. But,
yes.
Your commentary was a knockout punch, really, because the reality, we are moment people. That's exactly what we are. It's hashtag Hillary right now, either hashtag Trump or hashtag the Cubs. And once the hashtag is over with, then we on to something else. Yes. Nobody has a policy or an agenda to deal with reducing killings in the black community. I don't see my philosophy has never changed. I've never faltered. The only way you're going to stop killing in the black community, you need some guerrilla brothers with some fortitude and backbone that can reach out to their own nephews, sons, and cousins and reach them shooters out there and flip them into real brothers in the neighborhood. In other words.
Right.
I want to say something different, but flip them into real brothers that value one another.
That's right.
There's no program that's going to stop the killing. The police cannot stop the killing because they've been part of the problem, and they've been in response mode for over 100 years, which dictates coming after the crime has been committed. Even the homicide clearance rate is only about 32%. So what are we paying all the police for? Right now, the citizens and residents of Chicago deserve a refund on their taxes, especially paying the police. And then a lot of family members that have lost their young people to gun violence in Chicago should file a class action lawsuit against Mayor Rahm Emanuel because of his inability to address this issue and bring forth a policy that will really get the job done. See, a lot of people play games, and that's why I'm glad to be on this show, because I'm outspoken. There's no secret about it. And when I speak about facts. I'm not just all over the place. The reality is in Chicago, economically, spiritually, mentally, we're divided. And no house can stand like that. And that's one of our biggest problems in Chicago and across the nation. We get the politics going on, okay? It doesn't matter if Hillary or Trump wins. We are not going to get nothing out of that. To be, you're going to have a select few people that are part of a cabinet. But check this out. The state of Illinois right now is #1 in the nation for unemployment for black folks. That's a correct number, and you can look it up. And you've had Democrats in office, you have Republicans in office, but the number has not changed. A lot of the poverty pimps are pimping good, in other words, because what they're doing, they're segueing into the people. It's like the plantation politics 101. That's all we dealing with out here. You know, right. They got their perceived guy, the bag man with the money, and they're cool with them. They're not going to share that relationship with nobody else but themselves. And they go in, they family benefits, but the community at large continues to suffer.
That's right.
So this is what you call a wake-up call.
I love it, brother.
Yeah.
A wake-up call. And when you say plantation politics, our people don't get the fact that the reason why the new black leadership, and you remember,
yes, it did,
was established was to come at this from a perspective and from a survival mode,
right,
as well to address the ills and to expose that's in a way of progress. We have those individuals who are comfortable with just quoting those numbers and have no strategy, none whatsoever, to solve the crisis in our community. And there's an urgency where it really calls for new black leadership.
Well, that's my whole point there, my brother, because you got commissioners going around, aldermen, state reps, and everybody saying they want to do a listening tour, for example. Why are you doing a listening tour and you already know what the problem is? Now, I studied numbers all the way back to 1967 when it comes to homicides. Now, nothing has really changed. So therefore, all the programs, all the money in the police department, and you know, the Chicago police was ruled as the most corrupt police department in the United States by the Department of Justice. So that's just one thing. Put that on the back burner for a minute. But the reality is that you had a bump from 1967. In 1974, you had a bump in homicides. In the 90s, you had a bump in homicides where they were able to rise a little bit. But then it kind of like played even all the way since 1967. So the reality is with all the programs you got out there, like I said, all the policing, all the calls for whatever you want to call for, nothing has proved to show results. So everybody's coming to town making money off the black man. If the black man was not breaking the law, the criminal justice system would be broke. And the same people that are out here, for example, I read a book called Mean Streets, a book written by Andrew J. Diamond, and he talks about the early 1900s in Chicago, how our ancestors would come from the South to the North and would have to fight Irish gangs just to get jobs on the stockyard. But the fighting went beyond fighting. People were killed. People were brutalized, locked up, and everything. So that led to the 1919 race riot. But in 1943, you had another race riot. So the reality is this here. They stopped beating us up on the street, and them same people became the police, the prosecutors, and the judges. And this is something that CPD will never talk about. See, the police department has been dominated by Irish people in particular. Not all Irish people are bad, don't get me wrong, but the thing is the police department has been dominated by the Irish persuasion. And that's what's led to a lot of the police misconduct cases, okay? Laquan McDonald was just the tip of the iceberg. There have been many, many Laquan McDonalds that nobody talks about. So we have to address this issue as black men once again. Now, if we can just unify and get past a lot of these old petty differences, everybody want to be on the news, everybody wants to be the spokesperson, we can make some progress, because Minister Michael Muhammad told me this all the time. We have to strategize what our people do not want to do. In other words, we don't want to sit in them think tank meetings. We caught up in the moment.
Right.
So in order to sit down and process and get on the same agenda, that takes work. Okay. But
Absolutely.
nobody wants to do that. So we just want to get out there and become more emotionalist. You know, we'll deal with the emotionalism part of it.
I love what you just said, emotionalism,
Right.
because I read some people posts and they said, I'm so torn.
Yeah.
I'm so emotional about this election. Can you believe
Right.
that you feeling like that?
Yeah.
You need some psychological help. You should be torn and emotional and feeling that stress and pain based on the condition of our people. What you just heard T.O. just say, you should be calling in and say, how could we organize to fix this as a collective body? But you disconnected. And that's why I say you have displaced anger and displaced emotions. You don't know what you should be doing right now. And I'm serious. And then the people who say that they spiritual, T.O. They say they spiritual and they went to church and they came back and said they did some early voting and they went, and I'm going, what block did you visit? What poor people did you visit? Did you go and feed somebody? Did you go and motivate somebody? Did you go and hug somebody and show some love? So that's why I say what I say to you, because you are so phony when it comes to feeling what you really should feel about the stuff that really matters. That I mean, it's nuts. And you know, going back to the policeman, I grew up on 48th and State, the Robert Taylor homes, DuSable, and we literally policed ourselves, the family, my mom in that building and all the other mothers around that particular housing units, those units, man, they didn't take no prisoners. You had to be accountable. And the police came by to speak, and they did build real relations. I was just talking to a commander a few days ago, and I told him, I said, you know, people don't want the truth. And the man admitted it. I said, I could train the ones who really want to be better at what they're doing, but they don't want to hear it from me, because the first training is get out that doggone car. Go knock on some doors and go sit into some impoverished homes or apartments. And yeah, you might not like the way it smells or the way they look or dress, but you judging. This is your neighborhood that you're supposed to be patrolling. Don't come after the fact, because you should be able to say every day, Gregory, Michael, T.O., come here. What are you doing? Why are you not in school?
Right.
You don't know anybody. No names. How could you do that? How could you get away with that? You ain't building no authentic relationships. You driving around and reacting to crime. There's no use for even turning on your lights and going into the community fast running lights. It's over.
Well, you know,
you should have ran the lights to go in to speak to Miss Haygood.
Exactly. And plus, there's a disconnect with the youth and some of the older people in the black community for whatever reason, okay? Now, there's nothing spiritual about politics, though. See, you got a lot of preachers have become politicians. They're no longer preachers, they're politicians. When they sit up and support failed agendas by some politicians, okay? For example, you got Bruce Rauner right now, and I just was on the show earlier with Brother Roman here on the Drive at 5, and he talked about how over 100,000 people in Illinois have not received their government assistance check. Now, the thing is, that's torturous, man. That is what you call fatal for poor people that depend on a check once a month, and it's not really a big check. I'm not saying people should stay on that forever, but for those who receive it for now, they need their money to buy their bag of beans, the box of rice. I mean, you're talking about living on the low end of the totem pole. So when you take that from people, that's what's called inhumane.
Well, so
right here.
What about the pastor from the House of Hopelessness? I mean, the House of Hope, Did I say hopelessness?
No, well, I don't see nothing hope coming out of it, right?
But and Corey Brookins, the guy who walked across the to California.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think he went over to California after Western. But anyway,
Yes,
did they say anything about it? They supposed to be men of the cloth.
Well, you know what? I spoke out against Meeks and Brooks. I called Corey Brooks, what I call him, Corey, meet me at the back door, Brooks, and Reverend James, save me a seat at the table, Meeks. That's how I define them guys. I put a post out there called the Sellout Pastors of Chicago, and I have no bones about it. It is what it is. Anytime you pushing forth policies and you looking, there's no way in the world that James Meeks or Corey Brooks should be able to ride around the South Side, the greater South Side, because that's where they're from, and look at the conditions of our people and still support a failed administration, whether it be preachers shouldn't even be involved in politics, to be honest with you, because that's a model we using now that's not helping the masses of our people. It's helping a few.
Why don't you ever see white pastors standing behind politicians?
Because it's a given in the white community who they're going to support. That's not going to see. The model was all the way, that book, Mean Streets by Andrew J. Diamond. What happened, the dailies was in charge back then, the Hamburg gang, the senior daily, and they would go meet with black folks and try to get the black vote. And that's how that model was created. Matter of fact, the model was actually created back in the days of Nat Turner, but Nat Turner's spirit wouldn't allow him to keep going on with the good old boy system. See, they would take him as a preacher to different slave plantations and have him to talk the slaves out of rebellion. So Nat couldn't deal with it anymore. So God started talking through him. In the spirit of our ancestors, he couldn't do it no more. He said, no, I can't, no, look at me. I said, not today. So what I'm saying, he woke up another generation. He woke up to people back in his day and time. Put it like that. But we don't have them kind of leaders today, because if it don't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. See, the African proverb, if I don't eat, you don't eat. We all eat together. Right. But now it's like, let me just eat for the people in my little circle, in my family. See, we become individualists opposed to becoming more universal. That's what's killing us. Even the gangbang mentality is, I got to get down for myself and to hell with everybody else. See, what people don't want to address is that you have people bringing illegal guns in the black community. You have people bringing illegal drugs in our community. The sellout Negroes at the table that's bringing the stuff, that meet with them on the front end before they distribute it to our people, they are sellouts, okay? And that's the God honest truth. The same way some of these preachers and politicians are sellouts. We've had 100 years of police corruption in Chicago, and black officers know this. Black leaders know this. But nobody has spoken up about it, because what the hell? I want to keep my job. I want to keep my cushioned position. So overlook the little brother being shot.
And can I tell them this? And some of them watching.
Yeah.
Some of them watching. You're going to die anyway.
Exactly.
So why die a damn coward? People always want to worry about your position and your job and your handout. God going to punish you. And punishing some of them, bro, you don't get away. That's who you really got to worry about. You don't have to worry about the criticism. You got to worry about the God of justice. And when you turn your back on the poor and you just getting crumbs, not even 30 pieces of silver, they getting 30 wings.
Right.
30 wings, hot wings.
That's the problem. That's a big problem, my brother.
They used to get silver. Now they getting wings.
Well,
oh boy.
Believe it or not, as serious as I am, my brother,
damn.
I was going to produce a comedy sketch called The Sellout Pastor of Chicago, and I was going to have 3 or 4 pastors in this comedy sketch, whereas they took some chicken coupons from the mayor, and they had to divvy the chicken coupons out amongst the congregation. But instead of them giving them out free, they sold the coupons to the congregation members.
No,
and the mayor came to the church and asked everybody how did they feel about the chicken and the free coupons. And one person jumped about the church and said, we paid for them coupons. And the sellout pastors began running out the door of the church. And you know, not all pastors are bad. Don't get me wrong. But
no, it's a lot of good ones. A lot of good ones.
Right. So you got issues out there. But the reality, my brother, we are struggling because of disunity more than anything else. Our disunity is really crippling us as a people.
And we don't see that when we start trying to invoke the spirit of Dr. King, you know, and it gets on my last nerve. Dr. King would not at all endorse neither one of these candidates at all. And Dr. King would not try to make you feel guilty at that. And then they try their very best to, say that if you go this way or don't go that way. And I'm going, who are you? And that's why I said what I said earlier, T, is that we have all of this enthusiasm, right? Today, tomorrow, and then on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, next week, you won't hear from none of them. And that's why I say what I say about you. Tell me something different and tell me, are you going to be following Mrs. Clinton all the way? Because she's going to win.
Yes.
She's going to win.
I see that happening.
Yeah, no, she's going to win. And so what are you going to do next week? Are you going to mentor any young girls, mentor any young men? No, most of you all are not going to do that. See, I don't just come on this air and just talk smack to you every day. And all of the members of the New Black Leadership, we involved 24/7 trying to make a difference in our community. And it's made up of brothers and sisters that are doing some magnificent things. We give our time free. Many of us volunteer to make a difference. And that's why I can say what I'm saying to you, because some of you all, you're not doing that. You're not doing that. And you scared to criticize yourself. You should be upset with yourself, not me. And if you really have some courage, share this video. Share this. You share a lot of other garbage.
Exactly.
All I see you doing is sharing garbage on Facebook. You don't even realize what state you in right now. Your mind. And you probably angry at me for saying what I'm saying, because I'm busting you out for being hypocritical. Now you go on and vote. And I'm not going to even call it the last of the two evils. You vote for whoever you want to vote for. But stop trying to make people feel guilty as though, please. And then you don't say nothing to nobody. Don't even speak to your neighbors.
It's a problem, big problem.
Yeah.
Because, I grew up in the projects too, and in Avalon Park, but I grew up in the Henry Horner projects. And we, at least back then, knew all the people in the building.
Everybody.
I was in a 15-story building over there, about 3,000, family, 3,000 people living in the building. Wow. I knew everybody in the building, seriously, when they could, because you got to come out the front door. So I'm hanging out on the porch. I know everybody in the building, but we got to, like I say, we got issues because of our disunity, if you ask me. And then too many different persuasions out here. Everybody can just be whatever they want to be. So you can't build your shield on the battlefield. And that's what we've been doing, building our shield of protection on the battlefield. We have to strategize before we get on the battlefield with all the protests, all the demonstrations. But to the credit of some success with a lot of the young brothers and sisters, I must admit, when Laquan McDonald, the tape was exposed or revealed to the public, we all organized. And I want to thank the younger people for connecting with me as well as we began to rally for the cause. Now, as an end result, Mayor Rahm Emanuel, like I say, fired Superintendent McCarthy. Two city attorneys stepped down. The head of IPRA, the Independent Police Review Authority, stepped down as a result of the Laquan McDonald conspiracy. But Mayor Rahm Emanuel is the last man standing. He needs to go, and people should not see. He's going around with the money bag too. You see, you got a lot of the black aldermen now, carrying his water for him. A lot of black preachers. He's so comfortable now. He's thinking about running again, even though he covered up a murder. So think about, the problem is this. We know he covered up the murder, but he was willing to take it to the grave with him if the video had never been released. That's a big problem. That goes to show that he would cover up anything just to be the scavenger that he is to stay in office. And black folks are not so forgiving of their own people, but they've forgiven this boy. And I call him a boy. They've forgiven this Jewish young man for what he did, a transgression against a young black man. He was just as guilty as the murder for concealing the murder to win his reelection. And the story goes further. Anita Alvarez, they brought that information to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Nobody did nothing with it because they all met. Now, if Anita Alvarez had any sense, to come from up under this scandal, she should tell the Chicago public that she talked with the mayor. I don't know if she did or not, but I believe she had to. And the mayor probably told her, look here, don't process this case until after the election. If she had any type of morals about herself, she wouldn't take that to the grave with her. You see? And then a lot of black preachers were involved in that decision as well.
And that's why it's so critical, bro, as our community look at travesties, that we realize that on that block, because I was just reading another murder over here, another murder over there. And I remember when you and the brothers that you were with was going all over the city, interrupting violence. Now you have some wannabe folks out here who have not at all been successful in terms of being able to get it down to the nitty gritty of some of these conflicts, right?
Right.
Because my focus is, and you said it, politically, people operate in that sphere like they do. They've always operated like that. And some of it we didn't pay any attention to. People became aware and people started speaking out. But all of these type of systems have been going on. But what we had back when you were living in the housing projects and I was living in the Robert Taylor, we had more unity. And we did not allow things to take place in our community without challenging the powers that be. So the church, the people that, attended the church, they was from that block. The principal, the school teachers, they were from around that community.
Exactly.
So it was a community.
Yes, indeed.
And we knew, as you said, we knew everybody. We knew each other. And at the end of the day, we made people accountable.
Exactly.
And so now, versus dealing with the organic, aspect of this, where the real responsibility, it really lie in our lap. You know what I mean? Because no alderman, no state rep, no governor, no mayor, no president, no senator is going to come on those blocks and fix what's wrong in our house.
Can't do it.
Not one.
Right. Zero.
Not zero. And I'm saying our efforts have to be really directed toward fixing, because it's like this. No matter how bad things are, with the auto industry and my car is having some mechanical problem, I'm gonna come to you or Mike or Earl or someone and say, hey man, who you know in the alley that I can trust, that can get my car running?
Exactly.
I'm going, and then I'm gonna help him out as a result of him knowing what he's doing. And I'm saying that we got to get back to working with each other, because no matter who in office, as long as we are divided over, silly stuff, silly labels, we find competent people all over that understands the lay of this land and how things work,
right,
and have integrity.
You gotta have integrity, bro.
They have integrity.
Right.
But we get caught up, as you said earlier, in the moment. We still caught up with hashtags, and we still caught up with the Mercedes. Nothing wrong with you if you can afford it. They say if you can afford whatever, you could go on and do it. But we still live in that phony life, man.
Big time.
And I'm a proponent of really pointing out that charity begins at home and then it spreads abroad. And as long as we continue to put the responsibility on somebody else to fix what's wrong, we're going to be waiting until the hereafter. It ain't going to ever happen. We got a backyard. that we can go and dig up and plant some tomatoes. And if Walmart, or what's the store now? Mariano's,
Target, Walmart,
yeah,
Mariano's.
if they stop, or Pete's or whoever, and we can grow a tomato in our backyard, we won't even do it.
That's it.
See, that's crazy.
Right.
We ain't even have to sell it. Just eat it.
Just eat it. No, we got
for dinner.
We got major issues, my brother. But I'll tell you something. With the New Black Leadership Coalition, there's an opportunity there to kind of bring people in the fold, but people just had to be willing to listen. See, we live in a society that's capitalistic. So most people figure if you don't make money, like I said, don't make money, don't make sense. So it's hard to talk to people when they making money and you may not be making much. It's all kind of class issues and stuff. And that's what's hurting us as a people.
What profit a man to gain the whole world and lose their soul?
That sounds real good. And I understand it. I embrace that philosophy, but not in the capitalist society. They care less about that. You go out there talking to brothers. I was telling a brother early on in the show, you got some brothers out there with money that's still shooting people. Everybody in the community not broke.
Gee, you said that sounds good, but in the real world, they said, I like that scripture.
Yeah.
But I'm so drunken and so enslaved by materialism.
Exactly.
And it really has no power.
We know that.
Zero.
People can't see through that, brother. You get the young brother.
That's the blind, deaf, and dumb.
But a young brother on the corner that you might think is selling drugs may not even be selling drugs. He's just on the corner, so he ain't got nowhere else to go. But if you come across and say, look here, man, I got some money for you, that brother, matter of fact, I'll give you that example. I remember when these cell phones first come out. A lot of brothers walking around, we didn't have
with the brick.
Bricks and pages. But it gave brothers a feeling that they was important on the phone. All of a sudden, you seen all these brothers everywhere on the phone, talking some good. Hey, man, I'll be down in a few minutes, and we're gonna handle this business. They might not even been talking to nobody, but it gave people a sense of being about some business.
Oh yeah, we pull out our page.
That's what I'm talking about.
When you pull out your pager, man, that was real big then.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
And it was like a status.
Well, you take a brother that never had no money, now he got some money, he go from looking one way to dressing better, and all of a sudden he's very important. Yeah. See, money, man, have a way of...
because I've seen men and women.
That's what I'm talking about.
Both. They never tell people that they in Dunkin's Donuts.
Exactly.
But they'll tell you in a minute, I'm in Starbucks.
That's right. That's right. Then you know it.
I'm in Starbucks now.
Right, exactly.
But they won't say I'm in the line at McDonald's getting my coffee.
That's
because we stuck.
Right.
On foolishness.
Hightailing, man. That's what we doing.
I mean, just being phony.
Yeah.
Faked out.
Well, see, but there's also a fact that we got to take into consideration. See, when a man becomes a father and raising kids, a lot of people do not want to compromise their comfortable position to try to help the masses of the people. It takes a few people that have the passion in their heart to do that. That's what made Malcolm X so incredible as a leader, in my opinion anyway. Malcolm knew his life was at risk and his kids' life were at risk and his wife, but he marched on in spite of all the odds that were stacked up against him. And that's for real. Malcolm X could have stepped away from everything and said, I just go on a lecture circuit and just forget the movement. Dr. King knew that his life was, if there was an everyday death threat on his life. You talking about, some people say he wasn't revolutionary. Yes, he was. Because anytime, the way I speak, I know I can get a knock on my door one day. I mean, I'm not looking for it, but the reality, because I have to speak what's in my heart, what God and my ancestors gave me. So I'm not going to go around and trying to speak to you and be politically correct just because it makes somebody feel good, okay? Because it's a good thing to say at the moment. See, brothers like myself, and I'm not trying to put myself in the category of Malcolm and King, but the reality is that some of us are just steadfast on what's right for the people. And we're not going to veer off of that road. We're not going to do it.
Well, I have this conversation quite often, what you just said.
Yeah.
I left Drake University. I left Black Hawk, DuSable, the Robert Taylor. I left the South, and I was working at Independence Bank of Chicago, Black Bank.
Okay.
Got the job through the Chicago Urban League. And I heard a voice, a man's voice, though, not a voice out in the atmosphere, but I heard a man's voice, and it inspired me. But now, on my desk at Drake, I had a picture of the Black Panthers.
Okay.
They fed me breakfast in the morning when I lived in the Robert Taylor. I was going to Overton Elementary School. And every morning they had free breakfast. I used to eat the breakfast there. And I would eat the breakfast. And I'm saying I was already indoctrinated with a group or a mind of black men and women who believed in freedom, justice, and equality. And so all of a sudden, I'm working for the bank, Independence Bank, and I'm wearing my straight ties and then I'm doing great customer service, the whole shebang. And then I heard this voice, and it was the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And when I heard that voice, the brother, his father was the president of Independence Bank. He took me to the final call, and it was history. But I was already in search.
Right.
There are many voices out here, and there's some that have a brilliant clarity, and there's some confusing.
Yes, indeed.
But I met a man that really had the economic blueprint. I wasn't thinking economics at the time. I was thinking something is gravely wrong with our community because I did not see us doing enough for ourselves.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's really out of control now where, you know, block by block, we don't own zero on the block. So that's why I'm telling the people who are so busy with all of this energy and enthusiasm about voting, but politics without economics, again, is symbol without substance. You ain't doing the same thing to buy black. You ain't doing the same thing to own and operate and make sure all of those businesses, well, at least 98% of them are owned and operated by black folks so that we could become more prosperous.
Well, the thing is, I respect the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan with everything I have, but some people may not, really like this statement here, but I'm just put it out there. I would never go against the minister. I want to make that clear. But I think it's time for new leadership across the board. I would love to see the minister actually step back and play more of a consulting role and allow some of the younger brothers to step up in the nation. And don't get me wrong. I know you got Brother Ismail Muhammad. I was looking at Brother Minister Michael Muhammad at one time some years ago myself, and I'm not a member of the nation, so I can't dictate policy, but you have other people in the mix. But sometimes you got to reach outside of the family thing and give it to somebody that rightfully deserve it, where they can help move the nation a little bit, a little further. And the reason I say this is because I attended the first Million Man March. I was there. I attended the second one. Now, the thing about it is that our conditions have not changed. I'm not asking the minister to do everything. He's a strong messenger. And I know when he talks about the 10,000 fearless, that he means well, and he cannot do what he really needs to do. Because I believe the minister can actually straighten out the violence plan. But we have to follow and abide by the laws of the land. So I don't want to make the wrong statement, minister. I just know in time, we all have to step back and allow younger people to step in that we guide. That we make leaders.
Yeah. That have impeccable integrity, that will be fair and balanced.
Exactly.
That because and leadership is one thing to be able to speak, but it's another thing that even though people might differ from you, that you still are able to work with them in spite of the differences. So, and so the minister is 85.
Right. This one
85.
Right.
And don't know how to minister. Bro, if God ain't backing him, then there's no God. I'm going to say that loud and clear. If he ain't backing him, and I'm saying that to say, when you look at ripe, leadership, ripe and right of folks who just don't want to be on the stage because there's a price that comes with that,
without a doubt,
type of, and people have to be very careful for what they ask for, because not only on the outside but the inside as well, you get it from both sides. So but now I'll say this, that we do, and the minister has tried his very but then I say this, Brother T, minister ain't stopping nobody.
Yes, indeed.
From emerging.
Okay.
And he's giving guidance. And we, you, me, Mike, whoever it is, can actually, we are leaders. We are instruments for God. And the way God works, he don't need us all piled up together. I mean, we need to spread whatever we got to give and build from there. And then we don't tear each other down, because it's been a while since me and you have sat together. Of years.
Right, it's been a long time, right?
But right away, I know who you are. I mean, we can agree to disagree.
That's important
on things. But I love you. I mean, there's politicians that I don't agree with them. I love them. I think some of them need some help.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, and some of them need some backbone. And some people like to say something else. Some of them need to be blah, blah, blah. Right. But my love is very, very real. Like relationships, they don't always, you know, start off smooth. Some of them don't always end smooth. Some of them start off rocky. And I'm saying that, but you got to keep working with it.
Keep working it.
And sometimes we give up on each other.
Yes, indeed.
We give up on each other. And this thing, man, when you go back and look at history and you think about W.E.B. Du Bois, you think about Booker T. Washington, you think about all of these, Marcus Garvey, and you think about Noble Drew Ali, and you think about a lot of those individuals, man, Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth. A bunch of folks, man, have been here,
right,
and have put the word out. You know, look at Paul Robeson. I mean, that cat, man, was amazing.
Right.
But does he have any followers?
No.
You know anybody? Even the Pullman porters. You think about them and the work that they did.
Put in, right.
But because going back to the poverty pimps, we have a group of folks who are very slick. And if they worked with the minister and we worked collectively, we'll have all of those individuals, Carl West and Mays and Obadeli, and we got Harold Davis, we got Hal Baskin, you got Gator out here, right. you got a bunch of people. Everybody. You got Mark, you got Joe, you know, you got, oh man, I can't even name it. You got Cyron, you got, man, it's so many brothers. It's so many. And sisters. You got Queen, you got Sister Doris.
Everybody.
You got a bunch of them.
Yes,
you got Sister Africa. Right. You got a bunch of them.
Everybody.
But do we all get in the room and realize that we got influence? We got a brother Dwayne Bryan. See a bunch of people be on his Facebook. We got a bunch of folks, but we ain't unified. We're not unified, and that's our biggest.
That's what I think talking about. That's hurting us.
It's disunity, and that we really don't love each other. We don't love each other, bro.
Well,
we don't. We love politics. I'm telling you, what I read into the minds of some of those posts and listening to some of the people, they love Hillary more than they love Big Mama.
That's a good way of putting it.
They do.
Yes, indeed.
They don't never show this kind of support for Big Mama.
No.
At all.
Other than the Tyler Perry movie.
Right.
Medea, Halloween and all of those stuff.
Let Big Mama go in somebody's email or something happen with anything.
Or run for office.
Yeah, no, no. Big Mama out.
That's what I'm talking about.
So because our priorities are messed up. And that's why I'm just warning the people who are putting all of their energy and eggs into this basket. You're going to be very disappointed. Miss Hillary is going to win, but you're going to be disappointed because once again, you so hashtag, you so just for the moment and not for the mission. You're not for the mission. They don't even know what the mission is.
No, the mission's not clear. It's just it's fashionable, bro. That's all you're dealing with. You're dealing with sensationalism at its height. Sensationalism 2.0. And then once Hillary wins, it'll be over with. They'll be on to the next, like I say, the next hit, whatever it might be.
Are you still involved with in the interrupters?
Yo, I'm the creator of Advanced Interrupters, which you know. When I was working at the university, what they do, they take credit for your intellectual property when you're not there any longer. So I'm still pushing forward. I have interrupters working in Springfield, Ohio. We're about to expand to Dayton, Ohio. I have interrupters working out here in Maywood and some interrupters in Rockford, Illinois. And I'm trying to, get some money, secure some money from independent people. I don't really want no state or grants and all that stuff.
You would think that Jay-Z,
yeah,
Beyonce, Oprah, Stevie Wonder, Russell Simmons, it's so many millionaires, billionaires.
Exactly.
Have you noticed that they are singing and doing concerts, but they don't pool their resources to own farmland, to deal with matters that will give our communities an economic boost?
Right.
So, but yet, in the position that they in, look at the position they in.
Right.
And they don't promote that.
No kind of way.
They act like they're afraid. No matter who is the president, do you think somebody gonna just take their money? Because they don't make their money. You know how they're
gonna get it right back. They're gonna get it right back.
They're gonna get it right back.
One thing good, I'll say this quickly. A lot of professional athletes have been speaking up. I want to give them credit where it's due, because this is something different. Because athletes would never speak up. Michael Jordan even said after 25 years, he's not going to just sit back, even though it took him too long. That's because the young people motivated him to do what he should have been doing. So I turn it back over to you.
Okay. So, well, man, the time sure go by fast.
I see that,
when
man.
you're having fun.
I didn't want to look at the watch.
I mean, for real.
Right.
But folks, man, what a real honor and pleasure to have in the studio a man that cares. People have different perspectives and opinions and drives, but you gotta admit that the brother care. And I know there are people who are out there, and they know me. They know that I work for the city to make a difference. I'm not a slave to no, but I bring to the table humanity. I bring to the table love. I bring to the table experience. I bring to the table commitment to make a difference. And that's what we all should be doing. Listen, folks, you all need to share this video, share, get a piece of the commentary, because folks need to hear it. I want to thank the great producer here at IntellectualRadio.com, Brother Earl Winfrey. This brother right here, stay on the case. I don't know how he do it.
Yeah,
all the time, boy. But folks, stay tuned, and there's many shows on this particular network that you should be tuned into. Thank you, Brother T.O., the interrupter, that I had to interrupt to get a word now. But anyway, I appreciate you, brother. Nothing but love for you. Yes, sir. And thank you, audience, for tuning in and listening. See you next week, God willing, same time, same place. And ain't no telling what's gonna come out of my mouth.
For most of us, I search my mind, trying to find a remedy for the oppression that we see. Drugs in our community, liquor stores on every corner, living so far underneath the poverty line. We surrounded by crime, with more jobs on the decline, while we go instead of trying. I in the game as if this our only way out, doing what the OGs did and didn't expect different results. That's insane. Time for a mind change. You know this world prejudice. These people ain't playing. Went from soft white cotton to hard white crack. They're just modern day